So welcome to my masterclass on how I've personally sponsored over 110 agents. I believe it's 112 exactly over the last 6 years. And now over the last 6 years is how long I've been trying to do this. How long I've actually had success doing this? 4 years. So over those 4 years that I've actually had success with sponsoring agents, bringing them to my brokerage, giving them the opportunity that I have, I've learned a few things. I have absolutely learned what not to do. I have absolutely learned what works. I've learned what doesn't work. I learned. So everything, as I look back on the previous 6 years at the 112 agents that I personally sponsored, I found some common threads. And my mentor, Clayton Gitz, had a lot to do with this back in 2020 when he kind of shook me and he's like, dude, you got to run the play. And I'm like, what do you mean? I have a successful podcast. I just need to talk about my brokerage, right? Because it's working, because I got a few people. He's like, no, it's not working. He's like, let me show you what works. And so a lot of what you're going to see today, he showed me, and then I've taken it there and added a little bit onto it as well to give you some more meat on the bone. So this is worked for me. It's worked for a lot of you guys. It's worked for my mentor, Clayton, who had 1,500 agents in his organization at his previous company. He has almost 1,000 now at our new company. And long story short, this shit works. So skip slide. If you guys are not familiar with me yet, welcome and God bless you for being here to hear a stranger talk about how I've been able to sponsor agents. I host a podcast called the Massive Agent Podcast. I've been in real estate for 14 years. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. And, really the last 4 or 5 years, I've been able to step out of personal production and build a real estate business where I have the option to not personally be selling all the houses. I have the option to have other agents inside my business selling the houses. And so I've transitioned from, like a lot of you, being a solo agent, wearing all the hats, doing literally everything in the business, to now having the choice to where, like, I now choose to spend all my time helping you guys, helping agents, pouring into you and helping you to generate leads, to improve your social media and your branding, to attract your own agents, to build your own business, to buy your time back and eliminate burnout. And that's what I'm very passionate about. And so because I started, here's what's crazy. Because back in 2018, I started my podcast and I started talking to the internet. It brought me to Gary Vee's Agent 2021 event as a speaker. I've spoken at Inman, eXp Con. I've done some real events. Fairway Mortgages brought me in. Some stuff, right? All right, I'm getting sick of this intro. But recently, just 6 months ago, I switched from eXp to Real. And just a heads up, I'm going to be giving you real life examples. I'm going to be speaking specifically about companies. I'm going to talk about my company, talk about my previous company. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to pretend that we're not all here trying to attract agents to the brokerage that we're currently at. I think that's obvious. So I'm going to mention eXp. I'm going to mention Real. If you're not with either one of those companies, just insert your company. Insert your team, right? Let's be adults about this. But I'm going to share my story because I'm currently at Real. I was at eXp. I'm now at Real. That's just what it is. All right, let's keep rolling. So while I was at eXp, I spent 6 years there. I went to eXp in May of 2018. That sounds right. April and May of 2018. And in those 6 years, I was able to get through 66 personally sponsored agents over 6 years, right? They were not all active at one time, but through those 6 years, 66 agents that I personally sponsored, which led to, man, there's a lot of people still coming in. Note to self, designate a co-host before you do a big Zoom meeting so that I don't have to keep distracting myself with letting people in. Pro tip for when you guys do your own shit. Over those 6 years, I brought in 343 agents. No, I said that wrong. I helped bring in 66 agents who then brought in 343. So the biggest organization that I ever had at eXp was 343 agents active at any one time. Over 700 agents came through my organization during those 6 years. When I left, there was about 340, 343. The last 6 months that I've been at Real, my group has grown to 426 agents, and I've already participated in personally sponsoring 45. Some of those are co-sponsors. At Real, we have co-sponsorship, so you don't have to pick one sponsor. You could. I've co-sponsored a bunch of agents as well. So those are my numbers. And if you guys don't believe me, this was one of my near the end of my tenure at eXp. One of my screenshots: 340 agents. I had 29 active at that time, and then this is yesterday at Real, 427 agents, 20 and a half are considered producing. And there we go. For all you naysayers, they're like, this guy's full of shit. I get it. I get it. So, I mean, if you ever listen to Sharon Srivatsa, he's like, show proof. Well, there you go. Here's how I learned this formula. So I told you, no, I almost got ahead of myself. I told you that back in, so I've been doing this for 6 years. The first 2 years, I was doing this horribly. Now, I had my podcast, I had my social media. And so what I thought was, if I just told the world, hey, I'm at eXp, which I was at the time, if I'm at eXp, it's great, you should join me, blah, 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 that I just get people joining my team. And, a year later, I'd have $1 million. Well, I got a few people. And here's why that was probably one of the worst things that's ever happened to me. I did the wrong thing. I did one of the least effective things I could, which, like, let's flip this around. And by the way, there are so many parallels between agent attraction and client attraction. So a lot of the lessons you're going to learn today directly apply to client generation when you're trying to get buyers and sellers to hire you. The exact same concepts. You thought you were coming for agent attraction. You're going to grow your real estate business with buyers and sellers as well. But in those first 2 years, I was just screaming from a mountaintop, hey, I'm at eXp, you should come join me. I'm at eXp, you should come join me. And the worst possible thing happened. Some people did join me. So what that caused to happen was I got complacent and lazy, thinking that that's the right way. And it wasn't until, luckily, my mentor, who at the time was, I didn't even know. When I went to eXp in 2018, I did not know who Clayton Gitz was. I had no idea. What's so cool about these models, eXp and Real and a couple others, is because of the incentive, like everyone's incentivized to help you build a business. Like that doesn't exist at most other brokerages. There's only a few brokerages in this industry where you gain business partners by joining that brokerage. And so I gained Clayton Gitz as a business partner because he was my sponsor's sponsor. I didn't know who he was. I got to know him a little bit. He was hitting me up. He's like, hey, let me help you. Let me help you. And I'm like, dude, this is weird. I don't know you. Until Shannon, my sponsor, told me who he was, told me about his business, told me about the size of his team, told me about the income he makes, the lifestyle he lives, the vacations he goes on with his wife and kids. And I'm like, wait, this guy is beating down my door to help me? First off, that was weird at the time, because prior to that, I was at Equity Real Estate in Utah, which they just left me the hell alone in my corner to do my thing. I was in the corner doing my thing my way, and I thought that's all I wanted. But I didn't have anyone beating down my door to help me grow my business, let alone someone with his credibility and his stature in the industry. So he shook me. Finally, when I listened, when I learned who he was and he gained some credibility in my eyes. By the way, I'm future pacing a little bit from later on today. Once he became credible in my eyes, I was like, okay, how do you do that? And he's like, well, you need to run the play. And so he showed me what I'm about to show you right now. I've added to it. I've tweaked it a little bit. I've perfected it. I've added to it, right? I tweaked it a little bit for what's best for me. And I'm going to show you what he showed me. And from that moment on, I think that was right before COVID in early 2020. From that moment on, I went from, damn, I should have got a screenshot of this. I started that year, 2020, with 10 agents. And I believe I ended with like 130. And it was because of this. And then it just kept going and going from there. So let's go into the formula. I'm going to break these down step by step. First, if you're going to attract agents or clients, I told you there's a lot of parallels there. If you're going to attract agents, who do you want to attract? Who do you want to attract? Who are you going to talk to? Just random faceless agents? No, you need to know exactly who you're trying to reach. You need to know exactly who you're speaking to. Then you have to reach out. You have to have some interaction with them. Then you have to invite them to see your opportunity. And by the way, guys, that could be your team. You could be a team leader at a brokerage that does not have revenue share. You don't have profit share. But if you're a team leader trying to grow your team, or you're a team agent who's incentivized to also recruit to your team, this is all the same shit. It's the same playbook. You get people to look at your opportunity, then you present the information, then you follow up with them afterwards because, spoiler alert, 95% of them will not join you on the spot. Why? Well, switching brokerages is not as simple as changing your shampoo now, is it? It's not as simple as switching toothpaste. We need a minute, especially when you're a productive agent. You have deals going on, you have signs and key boxes and branding all over the internet and all that. Like, there's a lot to consider. So understand that. This, not just like I told you the parallels, not everyone's ready to buy a house right this second. You've got to nurture them for a while, don't you? You have to follow up. So I'm going to show you how I follow up. And then once they say yes, getting them on board. Actually getting them from saying yes to being active and hitting the ground running. So this is the process. Let's break them down, shall we? Come on. So before I start there, this is the number one most important thing of all of it. Now, this is common sense, but we usually don't hear this. I'm going to flat out tell you to your face. Some of you are trying to attract to a shitty company. You're trying to attract to a shitty opportunity. I'm not calling anyone out here, but I'm just saying there are inferior companies in our industry, aren't there? There are great ones, there are good ones, there are mediocre ones, there are flat out crappy ones. Just like products on the market, there's good ones, there's great ones. There's luxury products, there's dollar store items. So the number one most important key to agent attraction is you have to be at an attractive company. If you are not at a very attractive company, you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back. Now, I told you I'm going to be blunt. I learned what happens when you go from a good company to a great company and how fast agent attraction can take off and it can start to build itself. When I say build itself, you find great people who push you out of the way and then they get to work and they start building. I've seen what that looks like over the last 6 months, going from a good company to a great one. So you can absolutely have success at a good company, but I would ask you, if agent attraction is a goal of yours, if you want to build profit share, revenue share, residual income in this way that's available, are you with the best company? Are you with the most attractive company or opportunity? If not, you just have a harder time. So that's the number one key. If you're at the most attractive company, all of this is 10 times easier. So let's start with the first step, identifying. You want to attract agents? Who? Who do you want to attract? Who do you want to work with? Who do you want to be a business partner? Who do you want to attract? Make a list. How many of you have heard this before? You with your camera on, raise your hand or raise your little Zoom emoji if you would. How many of you have heard this before? Make a list of agents. I bet most. Now, how many of you have actually freaking done it? Mm, mm. I know most of you haven't because I was one of those people for many years. Even after I had hundreds of people in my organization, I was like, I don't need a list. I don't need a list. They're all on social media. Weird. Well, when everyone I was looking up to was telling me to make a list, everyone who was way ahead of me on this path, they were telling me make a list of agents I want to reach out to and talk to. Kind of a clue. So I'm telling you, this is not a step you can skip. If you're going to pick and choose which things you follow, good luck to you. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you're that stubborn, like I was. When you let go of being stubborn, the sky opens. Like the doors that will open to you when you just take a step back and then follow the advice that the people ahead of you are telling you to follow. It's amazing. So make a list of 50 or more agents that you want to personally talk to, who you want to work with, who you want to be in business partners with. And some of you are like, I don't know 50 agents. Bull crap. Yeah, you do. Agents you're friends with on social media, agents you watch their Instagram stories and comment on their shit, social media followers, right? People, other agents who follow you, other agents in your office, agents you want to work with, agents you may not even know yet, but agents that you're like, I'd really like to work with them. I'd really like to be business partners with them. I'd really like to be connected with them in business. You absolutely know more than 50. So stop it if you're one of these people saying you don't. You do. Here's what you cannot do when you're making this list. This is where so many people screw up. You cannot, oh man, I screwed this up. I was going to do a nice transition. Here's some do nots, then into the next slide. You cannot prejudge their interest. When you're making a list, you cannot. You have to just put their name down. You cannot say, well, so-and-so wouldn't want to join me. So-and-so, no, they wouldn't want to switch brokerages. No, they wouldn't want to join my team. They already have their own thing going. They're doing well, right? They're running their own team over there. They don't want to switch brokerages. You guys that have been doing this for a minute, how many of you have all thought that at one point about someone? And then within the next 3 months or 6 months, you see on social media, they change brokerages. Happens all the time. And it's usually the ones you don't expect. Some of you thought that about me. I thought that about, in January of this year, I thought that about me. But in February, things changed. So do not prejudge someone's interest, right? That's not up to you. Do not decide for them if your team or opportunity or brokerage is best for them. That's not your decision. That's not up to you. Don't decide for them. If you keep them off your list, you keep them from the opportunity. How many of you love the brokerage you're at? And you feel like, man, this is so great. If others just saw what I saw, if others could just experience what I'm experiencing, you're going to keep them from that? If you truly love your brokerage and think that it's a game changer for agents, you think that it's going to move the needle on not just your business, but other agents' businesses, you're going to keep that from someone? Interesting choice. Now, the reason we do that, limiting beliefs, scarcity thinking, all sorts of mental bullshit. I get it, but you have to be stronger than that crap. Okay? Because if you really believe your brokerage is the best thing ever, why would you withhold it from another agent? Put them on your list. The number one agent in your market that intimidates you every time you see him, put him on your list. Let's go to step 2. Once you have your list, who are you going to talk to? Let's reach out. How do you do this? Now, step 2 through 4 gets a little messy because there's a few different ways to do this. So you guys that are linear thinkers, you may not like this so much. I'm going to do my best to tie them together in a coherent way. But step 2 and 3 and 4, they can kind of mix because there's two different ways to do this, right? There's two different ways to reach out to people. You could literally reach out by sending them a message out of the blue, or you could attract them to you. There's agent attraction, which like literal attraction, where they're watching you, they see what you're doing, they like what you're doing, and all of a sudden they're curious enough where they want to reach out and talk to you about it. And then there's proactively reaching out to people. Not every one of you is going to be able to do the attraction just yet. That's okay. Like you're all in the place you're at. You're at where you're at. I happen to have started a podcast 6 years ago, which helped me network with tens of thousands of agents. That's been an advantage for me in agent attraction. Most of you don't have a podcast. That's okay. You know what's really freaking cool? Some of you I see on the call today, I would not consider social media influencers. I would like you're producers and you're respected within your markets. I've seen agents, a few people I'm looking at right now, that they're not influencers at all, but have grown teams of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. It's because of the proactive reach out. So there's multiple ways to do this. Let me go back a slide here. Sometimes inviting someone to see what you're doing is as simple as connecting with your prospect, adding them on Facebook, following them on Instagram. Same thing with your clients, right? You get some prospective clients, some of your leads to follow you on social. If you're putting out the right stuff that builds credibility, they could end up hiring you just because they started following you. So connect with those agents on your list. Every agent who's on your list, make sure you follow them on Instagram. You try to get them to do the same. You friend them on Facebook and stay in touch with them. Comment on their stuff. Reply to their stories. Let's dive deeper on this. Okay. So I'm going to start with the attraction side to attract people to you. Don't keep it a secret. The brokerage you're at, the opportunity you have, don't keep it a secret. Like, don't be a secret agent. If you want someone to hire you as a realtor, they should probably know you're a realtor. You want someone to join you at Real, they should probably know you're an agent with Real. This is very basic, but a lot of you don't do it. You're keeping your opportunity a secret. You're like, I want to attract agents. And then we look at your Instagram and it's like, first off, what do you even do for a living? And second of all, what brokerage are you with? Like, you know what I mean? Don't keep it a secret. You have to be like, I'm wearing my freaking Real shirt today. I'm not keeping it a secret. Like, it's amazing what just wearing a t-shirt to an event will do. If you're with an attractive company. Post about it. When I first switched to Real back in February, I made a ridiculously cringeworthy video and put it on Instagram. Then I followed it up the next day with a graphic. In case anyone didn't see this video, they saw this. I also put this and this on Facebook. So I'm making it very clear the brokerage I'm with, right? You guys, how many of you guys have switched brokerages? You're in the right seat. You're with the most attractive company and nobody else knows it because you haven't told them. For a lot of you, that's the first step. I did a podcast about it, right? This is something, if you don't have these things, right? You all have social, but you may not have a podcast. You may not have a YouTube channel. Okay, I do. So I'm like, okay, how can I reach agents and how can I tell my story of why I left eXp and went to Real? I did a podcast about it. This podcast now has like 7,100 views. And more than a few of you on this call we're partnered together today because of this podcast. Because this one podcast episode, I think I took 40 minutes and I told my story of why I left eXp and went to Real. I knew my audience. This was for agents. I just wanted to tell my story. Some may like it, some may not, but I don't care because it's my story. And you know what I found? A lot of other agents felt the same way. A lot of other agents were struggling with the same shit. So this one podcast episode generated dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of conversations with agents about joining me at Real. So if you can do something like this, you should. These are one of the tools available to you to attract agents to you. And then you have to make it easy to talk to you. You have to make it clear you're an agent with eXp or Epic or Real or LPT or Century 21 or ERA or Better Homes and Gardens, whatever, right? Or your team, right? Your team, you want your branding everywhere. But then make it easy for people to talk to you. Make it easy for agents to talk to you. What did I do? I added a link to my link tree, learn more about Real. When they click it, it goes right to my Calendly. Many of you on the call who are part of my organization came to me through this Calendly link. I made it easy for you to schedule time on my calendar. It's easy for you. It's easy for me. I also put it, go back. This same link I put in the YouTube description. So on this episode, it's in the YouTube description. A lot of people scheduled the call through that. As many places as you possibly can. Here's a calendar link. Talk to me. Look, here, grab 15 minutes, grab 30 minutes on my calendar. Make it easy for people to talk to you, and more people will talk to you. All right, so there's a Calendly link. I told you we're kind of mixing reach out and invite, right? Number 3, inviting people to take a look. If you're attracting people, it's all kind of the same thing. Reach out, invite, it's all kind of the same thing. But here's what to say. If you are proactively reaching out to people, if you don't have a podcast, you don't have a big social media presence, by the way, you have more of a presence than you think. If you have 3 agents following you, there's 3 agents. You have a bigger reach than you think. But when you're proactively reaching out, you're like, you know what? I really respect Janet Brink. She's a great producer. I love what she's doing on social. She's highly respected. She's been in the business forever, sells a bunch of homes. Man, I'd love to work with her. What do you say? Rule number 1, no matter what you say, don't be weird. This is why I hate scripts. Don't worry. Oh, I have some scripts for you. I have a couple scripts. The key is to not be weird. The relationship you have with the agent that you're proactively reaching out to dictates the conversation. It dictates the script. The relationship you have dictates the script. So if it's a close friend and you're boys and you go golfing together, it'd be so weird to be like, why, hello, Jonathan. How are you this fine day? I would like to speak to you about this great opportunity I have in real estate brokerage. That was so Magoo and weird. I know. But that's weird. It's super weird and unnatural. There's agents that I've attracted by saying, hey, dude, why aren't we working together yet? Because I was close enough where I could talk to him like that. So no matter what, just natural. If you only text with people, text them. If you only Instagram DM with this person, do that. If you only ever Instagram DM someone and that's your communication in your relationship, don't call them out of the blue. That's weird. It's unnatural. I'm not saying it won't ever work, but if there's a lot of people in my life where if I got a phone call from them, I'd be like, what the hell? Like it's weird. Like send me a video or an audio message through Instagram. So rule number 1 with what you say, don't be weird. So I'm going to share with you the Get Comfy script. Why is it called Get Comfy? I actually have no freaking idea, but my mentor Clayton called it Get Comfy. So, this is for him. The Get Comfy script. Hey, and by the way, if you're close to them, you don't say, hey, it's Dustin Brohm with Real. They're like, no shit. Like, I know it's you. Like, don't be weird. So if it's not someone that you speak to on a regular basis, if you're shooting high, if you're going after Janet Brink and you want to talk to her and you don't really know her, that's when you say, hey, it's Dustin Brohm with Real. Look, I know you're perfectly happy at Century 21. I know you're perfectly happy at Better Homes and Gardens, but I just wanted to let you know if anything changes, I'd love the chance to show you what we're doing over here and see if we can work together. Or I'd love the chance to see if you'd be a good fit for what we're building. What's cool about this? Now word it however you want to make it sound natural, but you're not really asking them to do anything. You're not asking them to leave their brokerage. You're saying, hey, I know you love your brokerage. If you want to be kind of a smart ass, you can say in an effective way, you could say, hey, I know you're perfectly happy at Remax and that you're going to be there for the rest of your life. But I just want to let you know if anything changes, I'd love to show you what we're doing. Chances are they hear that and they're like, I'm not that happy. Nah, I'm not really perfectly happy. Now, they may not tell you that, but in their mind, they're like, I'm not going to be here forever. Are you kidding me? Like, they charge me $1,200 a month just to hang my license here. Why would I stay here? So by doing that, their guard is down, right? And their curiosity goes up. You're just planting a seed. Hey, I know you're perfectly happy. Don't want to hear about anything today. If anything changes, I'd love to show you what we're doing. I'd love to show you what we're doing over here that I think is pretty cool. As long as you get the spirit of that in what you say, mission accomplished. You've planted seeds. Because what you'll find happen is some people are like, you know what? I'm actually really not that happy here. I've been looking for something else. I've just been so busy. And boom, like there's a conversation. So there's the get comfy script. And by the way, everyone who's registered, I will send, I have this with even some more context and some more rebuttals and objections and whatnot in a PDF. I'll make sure that I send that to you guys with the replay link. So I should have said that up front. This is recorded. Make sure you guys get the replay link. So that's the get comfy script. You could say something like that. You have to make sure that their guard is down and their curiosity is up. Because if their guard is up and there's red flags because you approached them in a weird, unnatural way, they're like, what's going on? Are they trying to get me into some, like, are they trying to get me to sell makeup in some MLM? Are they trying to get me to sell juice? Right? That's what people think when you reach out in an unnatural way. Hey, we're just wondering if you keep your business options open. Unnatural as hell. Their guard's going to go up and their curiosity goes way down because their mind is made up that you are trying to sell them something. If you flip that, you get their guard down and their curiosity up by using something like the script before. There you go. Now, I call this the take a look script. So you're going to get their guard down and curiosity up this way as well. So you're going for somebody that you don't really know too well. You really respect them. They're a big producer, big team leader, maybe a broker owner, and you want them to look at your opportunity. You just reach out. Hey, look, I really look up to you and respect you. You're definitely one of the leaders in our market. Everyone respects you. You sell a ton of homes, and I really respect your opinion. I'm thinking about going to Real. Would you mind taking a look and poking holes in it for me? What do we do here? The quickest way to bring someone's guard down is to compliment them. Play to their ego a little bit. Now, the key is not like, you don't want it to be bullshit. Give them a real compliment. And if you can't come up with a real compliment, this is probably not the game for you. If you can't think of a genuine compliment, a way to compliment someone, even if they're a brand new agent that hasn't ever sold a house ever, hey, I saw that video you did the other day. Your lighting was on point. Like, I love the way you said that. It was executed perfectly. You know what I mean? There's always something you can compliment a fellow agent about. So compliment them. Hey, I look up to you. I respect you. You're one of the leaders. Hey, I'm thinking about this brokerage. You know, it's just starting to catch on. It's still pretty small in Montana, but you know, it looks pretty good to me. Would you mind taking a look? You know so much about this industry. Would you mind taking a look and poking holes in it for me? How many of you guys know Brent Gove at eXp? Everyone at eXp knows this. Brent Gove came to eXp because his sponsor, Sheila, approached him like this. She didn't know him. He didn't know her. She knew who he was. And I think she even used the language, hey, you don't know me, but I certainly know you. That plays to their ego, right? So she approached him. She's like, Brent, I know you don't know me, but I know you, blah, blah, blah. Will you take a look at this thing? And he was at Remax at the time. Will you take a look at this opportunity? And he was like, I'm going to save this nice woman from joining this little EXP thing. And once he was at Remax, he ended up looking at it and he's like, okay, that's cool. All right, I like that. Wait, really? They do that? And pretty soon he was sold. So this approach can work great. Rule number 3 of what to say, reaching out to people, leverage your upline, AKA a third-party expert. I say upline because everyone knows what that means, but any third-party expert, leverage them. I'm going to dive deep on this because this right here was part of the play that Clayton Getz taught me that changed everything for me. I'm getting ahead of myself. Rather than people coming to me and then me showing them the opportunity, giving them all the information, answering all their questions, and then saying, hey, you ready to join? No, I said, you know what? This thing's pretty cool, but I'm still pretty new. I want to introduce you to my mentor, Clayton. And now Clayton would do the presentation. Once I started to have Clayton present to my people, they just started joining. And here's why. You and them, you and your agent, the relationship and the trust, they trust you. You have the relationship with them, but they might not find you credible. Maybe you went to high school with them and they remember you doing keg stands, right? So they don't find you super credible. Or they may remember you as the new agent in the office that never sold anything for the first 2 years. And they don't look at you as, I'm just being blunt, they see you as beneath them as far as production goes, as far as credibility goes. But you have the relationship. So then you bring in a third-party expert and you edify them. Now you're building the credibility of your expert. So now between your prospect agent and your expert, there's credibility built. This works perfectly. This is what most of you are missing. I'm going to dive deeper. Edify. To instruct or improve someone morally or intellectually. In other words, to build someone up. When you edify someone else, you build them up. This is what you need to do with someone else. How do you edify? You brag on them. Talk them up, build their credibility. Here's an example. If I'm edifying my mentor, Clayton, I'd say, hey, really need, I think I can get 30 minutes on his calendar. I would do this especially if I was talking to someone who ran a team, because I don't personally have a traditional sales team. My team is like a hybrid and it looks a little bit different. So I wanted to bring in someone who has a traditional sales team that could speak more to those numbers and that, what's important to sales team leaders. And so I would say, hey, you know what? You really need to meet my mentor, Clayton. His team is selling 500 to 700 homes a year. He has over 1,000 agents in his organization. His team is 50 agents and staff. He owns a mortgage company, a title company, property management company. He owns a capital company. He spent a week in Italy this last month, and he's only working 2 to 4 hours a month in his business. Now, when I describe Clayton, how many of you are like, kind of want to hear what he has to say? Kind of want to learn from that guy? Of course, because I edified him. I built his credibility. So now you're like, wait, I want to hear from that person. I want to hear their point of view. I want to hear what they have to say. I'd love to pick their brain, for lack of a better term, because that term sucks. But see what happened there? Rather than hey, I'm going to bring my business partner on because he can explain it better. I'm going to bring this person on because he knows the answers. Well, that doesn't build their credibility. Not really, but I'm sure they can answer your questions, but it doesn't really build their credibility. So you have to edify the third party expert you're bringing in. If I can get 30 minutes on his calendar, would you like to talk to him? You make it sound scarce, and it is, but you make it sound like, hey, if I can pull some strings and get us 30 minutes with this highly credible person, you open to that? I've never had anyone say no. I repeat, I've literally never had anyone say no if you edify properly. And if you don't have a Clayton, I bet you do somewhere connected with you. And if you're at Real, I guarantee you can get some other credible leader in the company to come do a call with you. Hell, I'll do it. You can get a third-party expert. By the way, I have a story to tell you about one of my leaders the other day who this is perfect. I will. Should I tell you that now? I'm going to go back to this. Leverage your upline. So Randy Mendez, I think she's on here. She's in Reno, Nevada. Mom's in real estate, Facebook community. Randy's a beast. Absolutely incredible. She's been with us at Real. I'm not going to. She's doing very, very big things that might be record breaking in her first 30 days. But this last Friday, my wife and I were golfing. We just finished our round. We were putting our stuff in the car, and I get a text from Randy. Hey, can you jump on the Zoom call like right now? And I'm like, yeah, probably can. Okay. Like I'm just gonna be sitting in the car. So I was like, cool. What she had done was she was on the phone. Sorry, she was on a Zoom with another agent. She knew that that agent listened to my podcast. Randy and I are partners at Real. And so she surprised that agent by having me jump on the Zoom to say hi. So I jumped on that Zoom. I talked to her and I was like, hey, how's it going? She asked me some specific questions, but that built Randy's credibility because she brought me into it, right? I love that. Every single one of you has business partners that you can and should be leveraging 100 times more than you are. I wish I got 10 of those requests a day from you guys. You guys that are part of my group, please do that more because it works. It works. Use your third-party experts, use your upline, use your leaders. That's literally what we're here for. The beautiful part of this whole revenue share business model at a handful of brokerages in the industry is that if I'm going to grow my team, I need to help you grow yours. If I'm going to get more agents, if I'm going to grow my revenue share, if I'm going to grow my business, I need to help Jeff West to grow his organization so he makes more money and he sells more houses. What an amazing dynamic that is. Don't forget that. If you're with the right company, with the right business model, you're not bothering people by asking them to jump on a call to help you attract an agent. That's literally growing their business too. Don't forget that. Okay. Let's talk about presenting, right? This is why I said it was kind of messy if you're attracting people to you. If like I've had podcast listeners hear my episode and they're like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then they schedule a call to hear more about it. So that goes right to present. So then I just get on a call and answer their questions, right? But if you're doing proactive reach out, you follow this process, you get to number 4, you've invited them properly, they're interested in taking a look, they're interested in hearing what you have to say. How do you actually present the information with your third-party expert? Here's what most of you do right now. And I'm going to hammer this concept home because this is the most important thing you can get out of today. What most of you do now is you're standing between the agent that you want to join your company and the company. You're blocking them. You're standing between them and the company. Because if you are not credible to them, like I explained earlier, they they equate you with the company. So even though Real is like who doesn't want that, if the person introducing that agent to Real doesn't have credibility with that agent, it doesn't have the same effect. So some of you, you have an agent come to you, you think you have to answer all their questions. You have to do the presentation. You have to do all this stuff yourself. And then hopefully they say yes. You're standing between them and Real. You're doing this. You're a wall between them and joining the company that you say you think is so great. Here's what you must do instead. So rather than that, you bring in a third-party expert. Yes, I already went over this. Yes, I'm doing it again because yes, it freaking matters. This needs to be burned into your brain. There was a period of months and months and months where I didn't answer any questions about the brokerage I was with. I just said, hey, that's a great question. And then I'd edify Clayton. I bring him on. We do a 3-way Zoom call. Clayton would answer all the questions. There was a time where I answered no questions. And you guys that are brand new to Real, brand new to whatever company you're with, and you're like, well, I don't know all the answers. Good. If you don't know the answers, how easy is it to be like, I'm not sure. Let me bring in someone who does. Let me bring in my expert. Let me bring in my team leader and then edify them. They sell 95 homes a year. They take 4 vacations a year. They're, just build them up, build their credibility, brag on them a little bit. This is what matters. You, them, expert, the triangle, the whole thing. I don't know why I said it like that. That was weird. But your expert needs to do the expert needs to be the one presenting Real, presenting your opportunity, not you. You could chime in after the fact with some extra perspective, but if you're bringing in a third-party expert, let the expert talk. This has happened a few times where I've had an agent bring me on as a third-party expert. I start to do my thing. I start to, go through a presentation, and then they just jump in and they start doing their own. That discredits your expert. Like, it's not an ego thing. It's not like I'm like, don't interrupt me. No, it's, hey, if you want this to work, don't discredit your expert. If you're talking over and interrupting your expert, you're discrediting your expert. Just introduce your prospect to your expert, edify your prospect to your expert. So if you're bringing on, all right, if I'm talking to Jeff West and I want Jeff West to join Real, and Michaela is the expert that I'm bringing on, I'm gonna introduce them. I'm not just gonna get on the call and be like, hey, here you go, Michaela, go for it. No, you have to edify. So I'd say, hey, Michaela, I want you to meet Jeff West. He's in Grants Pass, Oregon. Jeff actually has built a killer team. He's mostly listing homes now, and just a few years ago, he hadn't even listed a house. He was just a buyer's agent. He's building this big brand, blah, blah, blah. I'd edify Jeff. Then I'd turn and I'd edify Michaela back to Jeff. And then I'd say, just wanted you guys to meet. There you go. And then Michaela knows, as the expert, it's her. Now she jumps in and starts asking questions. Okay. I showed this earlier. You edify your expert. That gives credibility to your expert in the eyes of your prospective agent. You bring your prospective agent because of the relationship and the trust. Let your expert present and answer questions. Don't interrupt them. All right, let's get to number 5. After you've presented the opportunity, the information, now you got to follow up, because 95% of them are not going to join on the spot. So here's what you should not do. Here's a big mistake. Oh man, that ruined the effect. Okay, let's try that again. Here's what you should not do. Check in with them. You shouldn't be doing this with your leads either. How many of you guys check in? Hey, just checking in. How effective is that? Don't you love the check-in? Let's flip it. Don't you love it when salespeople just check in with you? Hey, just calling to check in. I don't want to be checked in with. Don't bother me with the check-in. If you're going to reach out, have something substantive. What's this? So rather than checking in, give them something. Maybe an update. Maybe your company just released a new program. Like, hey, I don't know if you saw this, but we just released Real Luxury. And now within our company, certain luxury agents that qualify, it gives them boom, 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 boom. It gives them these benefits. And because in your area, we don't have anyone yet, I think you'd be perfect for it. Now they're like, ooh, opportunity. You gave them an update, just that the company came out with this new program. Or, hey, have you heard about our app? Or did you know about this or that? Giving them something is a way to check in with them without just checking in. Give them something. So like with your clients, you don't just call your potential clients and be like, hey, just checking in. You say, hey, did you see the house down the street sold? Did you know that your neighbor's house 3 streets over, it sold for X amount just 2 days ago? Did you know that? But you know what? It's actually 400 square feet smaller and it has one less bedroom than yours. That's a way to check in. It's the same thing with agents. My sponsor, Shannon Milligan, back at eXp, back in 2018, did this perfectly. And she had no idea she was doing it. This was natural to her. So what she did, she told me about it. She then joined the company. And I'm like, that sounds cool. Not right now. That sounds cool. Not right now. Which is most people you talk to, right? There's just no urgency there. They like it, but there's not a lot of urgency. When you're with the right company, there's a lot more urgency because people want what you've got. But I didn't really get it. I was coming from a flat fee brokerage and it was a paradigm shift for me. So what she did, rather than like, oh, come on, you got to come. She's like, cool, no worries. She just started to share what she was excited about. So she would text me, hey, I just sold my first house and they gave me 400 shares of stock. I'm like, my brokerage doesn't have stock. That's pretty cool. I just sold a house. I didn't get any stock, right? She was just excited and wanted to give me an update. And then she says, hey, my first agent joined. Hey, my first agent sold their first house and I just got a check for $600. I'm like, my brokerage doesn't do that. And oh, then this, and oh, I just attended this free training. And I'm like, my brokerage doesn't have training. And she would just do this every once in a while. And pretty soon it just beat me down enough to where I was like, all right, too much awesome shit that I'm saying no to. Can we have another conversation? Like, refresh my memory here. And I joined. If you haven't, so in the follow-up process, if you haven't yet included a third-party expert, bring them in now. So depending on the situation, if I have an agent schedule a call on my Calendly link, and it's me and them, depending on who it is, and depending on their questions and how close they are to saying yes and all that, I will schedule a follow-up. We're like, hey, I need to introduce you to my mentor, Clayton. And I will edify him. And then we set up a follow-up call where Clayton talks to them. Clayton tells his story. And a lot of people at that point are like, okay, cool. So I get Dustin and I get Clayton as business partners. I like this. I like this. Yes, no brainer. So bring your third-party expert in as a follow-up conversation to help follow up with your agents. And if you already have, bring in another expert. Bring in somebody else. Share exciting updates like my mentor, like my sponsor did. She shared exciting updates. And then I watched her have fun. I watched her have fun. If you go back and remember, I told you the people that are on your list, the agents that are on your list, connect with them on Facebook, connect with them on Instagram, try to get them to follow you, because then they can watch you go to these fun events. They can watch you go here. They can watch you having fun with fellow agents. They can watch you share about this training that you just went to. They can watch you share that you were at, on Sharon's big buyer agency training that he did a few weeks ago, that the whole industry knew about. Right? You've planted the seeds. You've shown them how cool this is. If you're with an attractive company, they can't unsee it. Back to the number one key. You have to be at a super attractive company, because once you show them all that means, they can't unsee it. So then let them watch you. And pretty soon FOMO kicks in. And this is why you have to be sharing cool stuff that you're doing. You're going to a local event, you're going to a conference, you just did a video, an announcement video with another agent that is joining the company. Those announcement videos that so many of you poo-poo and roll your eyes at, they work. They are gold for agent attraction. If you're not doing announcement videos, and I don't care what company you're at, if you're at Better Homes and Gardens or Century 21 and you just attracted someone to the company or someone just joined your team, do a freaking announcement video. They work so well. And it doesn't have to be fancy. Oh, let's see here. All right. And then onboarding. Once they say yes, now you have to let them know what happens next. Hey, awesome. The next step, I'm going to send you a link. There's an online application. You fill that out. It's going to take you 5 to 10 minutes. It's actually super streamlined. Make sure you save your login because you're going to use that through the whole onboarding process. Then on the independent contractor agreement, it's going to ask you who your sponsor is. That's where you put my name. Here's my name. Here's my email address. It's going to ask you for it. After that, the ball's in your court. You just have to pay the $250 to join, the one-time fee. Then you can transfer your license. If you're ready to do that, initiate the process. It's going to give you step-by-step instructions right there in the app. It's going to show you what to do to transfer your license in your state. Follow that process. If you're ready to do that today, cool. If you're ready to do that in 2 weeks after a closing, cool. But as soon as you transfer your license, you're instantly going to get onboarded with Real. They're going to send you a welcome text. They're going to send you a welcome email. There's going to be a video from the CEO and co-founder welcoming you to the company. I got my text when I was at the gym at like 5:30 p.m. I got my text and it absolutely made my whole day because I logged into my email and it showed me, it gave me instant access to my Real app. It let me see, like I had access to everything instantly. That story I just told you is what I tell them. Let them know what to expect. Because then they're not like, okay, what do I do now? Future pace. Let them know what's going to happen next. Because then it's not intimidating. Let them know that, yeah, you're going to have to pay that $250 to join. If you don't mention that and they didn't pick it up in your presentation, they may get to that point when they're like, what the hell? What is this? And that throws them off. Let them know what to expect. So then when it happens, it's not a surprise. They're expecting it. And when there's fewer unknowns, when there's fewer unknowns, more people take action. I created an onboarding guide to supplement my company's process. My company's process is the best I've seen. Like the automation, it's absolutely incredible. There's still a couple things that I want to plug people into. So I created, it's just a Google, you can check it out, realonboarding.com. Realonboarding.com. I just created a Google sheet, put some stuff on there, and I send it to everybody who's, right when they say that they're going to join, I send them that Real Onboarding Google Doc. It's not fancy looking, but it gets the job done. So you can create something like that. You can share that with your people. And make sure your company has good onboarding. There's some companies whose onboarding is such a mess that some people start to join and then say, oh, never mind. I've seen it way too many times. Make sure you're at a company whose onboarding process is great. And if it's not, you better step in and create a great process. Here's some success hacks. Hopefully you're going to take what you've learned today and start making some tweaks and implement. Above and beyond that, you have to believe that what you are offering someone is genuinely great for them. If you believe that what you're offering them is going to benefit you financially, you have no shot. You have absolutely no shot of agent attraction. So to build that belief, you have to go to company events. You have to attend company trainings, dive into the Real Academy, Go to Real Rise in Vegas. Go to Real Cafe events all across the country. Go to Coffee and Collab in Atlanta. Go to, like, there's all these events happening. Go to them. Experience the culture. Experience the company. Go meet people. That helps you fall in love with the company. It helps you get that belief. Use what your company offers. If it offers a CRM, use it. If it offers this benefit or that benefit, use those things so then you can speak passionately about them. Get around the winners. There's others who are winning in agent attraction. Go get around those people. Be part of their groups, follow them on social, listen to their podcasts, attend events they're doing. If they're speaking at events, go to that event. Right? Get in the rooms with the people that are just way ahead of you in the journey. Make sure that you set some goals and rewards for yourself. Notice I say goals and rewards. It's so important that when you set goals, you have a reward for it as well, because sometimes the goal is just not powerful enough to pull your self-conscious mind towards it. But if your self-conscious mind knows that as soon as you attract your first 3 agents, that you're going to go to that fancy steak dinner with your spouse, that restaurant that you've been wanting to go to forever, that extra reward subconsciously works magic. Make sure you follow through, that once you hit your goal, you give yourself that reward, because then next time when you set a reward for your goal and you hit it, it's just going to pull you towards that goal that much faster. There's a lot of mindset stuff involved here. So set goals. You can't get anywhere if you don't know where that is. Do you want to have 1,000 agents in your organization? Great. Write it down. Track your progress. Use the wealth chart. I did this. Like, this is not great, but I just created a whiteboard and I have little post-it notes. Every time someone new joins, I put a dot in the corner if it's a co-sponsor. That's a little outdated, but that's what mine looks like. But I track. Here's the unlock to all of it. All of this, the unlock, is belief that you are giving agents a gift. If you believe that if your approach is, oh, I really need to get this agent to join so that I can earn revenue share, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You have to build the belief that every agent you talk to, if you tell them about Real, you're genuinely offering them a gift. And you'd feel bad if you didn't tell them. That's how you have to feel about your company or your opportunity. If you don't, you need a new company. Or you're at the right company, but you just don't have the belief because you're not plugged in. Plug in. Stay around the campfire. Once you believe that your company, once I really felt that Real was truly the gift for entrepreneurial agents that just unlocks everything for them, this became so easy. How easy is it to give somebody a gift? Super easy, right? It's super easy to give a gift. It's very difficult to, like, you know, when you're walking around the mall or something and someone's passing out flyers, they're like, here, take a flyer. You're like, I don't want one. Some of you, that's how you're approaching agent attraction. You're trying to jam a flyer into somebody's hand and they're like, oh, I don't want it. Give them a gift instead. And it's all about your mindset. If I can be helpful, that QR code goes to my Instagram. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram. If you found this helpful today, please, we're going to get to some Q&A. Don't worry. If you guys want to stick around, I have a little bit of time for Q&A. I have 15 minutes. But I talk more about this on my Massive Agent podcast. And then if you have a personal question that you want to ask that you didn't want to ask here publicly, totally cool. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram. That QR code goes right to it. I appreciate you all being here today. I will send a replay link to everyone that registered along with that PDF of the Get Comfy script that I told you I would. That'll probably be sometime this afternoon. Let's go to questions. I don't even know where to start. Who wants to raise their hand first? Let's start there. And how do I even see that? What do we have? What do we have? Nobody has questions? Andres. Okay, let me see. Can you unmute or do I have to unmute you? There we go.
All right.
There we
Awesome.
go.
Hey,
What's up,
thank
brother?
you for sharing all the information, Dustin. The one question
Absolutely.
I had was with the tiers, you have to complete the first tier before you can get to the second and third tiers, right? On the agent revenue.
Well, it depends on the company you're with. Are you at Real?
Yeah, I'm with Real.
Okay. Yes. So I think what you're asking is, in order to start getting paid on the agents who are on your second level, you first have to have a certain number of tier one agents. So at Real, once you have 5 personally sponsored agents, then you're qualified to start getting paid on agents who are on your second level. Does that make sense? All right. I saw a thumb up. Sweet. Scott. Scott Wynn. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
Very good.
Hey, thank you for the information. Some people have, I kind of had the same question. I saw some other people post it in the chat, but because I was formerly with eXp and have a relationship with Brent Gove and kind of like the whole idea of how he took the approach of, hey, I'm getting ready to move to this company. Will you poke some holes in it for me? I am currently with Real. I made the switch around the same time you did. And so how do you take that approach if I'm already with Real, when you approach somebody in that manner? Like, how would you kind of shift that gear a little bit to kind of set them up as like, hey, you're the expert, like poke some holes in this. Well, I don't want them to poke holes in it because I want them to think this is a great place to be, right? so so
Well, you
that's
don't have
just
to
my
worry about
question.
that. Yeah, good question. You just tweak your wording a little bit. You don't have to use that phrase poke holes in it. You could say take a look at, let me know what you think. But if they think that they're going to poke holes in it to save you, right, then their guard's completely down. So yes, you do want them to poke holes in it because once they see Real, they're going to be like, oh shit, this is pretty good. Like,
Uh,
wait, I didn't know that. That's amazing. So if you're already here, just say, hey, rather than I'm going to do this thing, it's hey, I did this thing. Hey, I just switched over to Real. Would you mind taking a look at that model and poking holes in it for me?
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I was kind of
Cool.
thinking that, but I'm like, you know, then I kind of thought too. I'm like, well, is that going to make them think that I'm second guessing my decision? Is that going to work against me rather than work for me? So I don't know.
I think it depends on your tone.
Okay.
If you just say, hey, I just moved over to Real. I really respect you. Would you mind looking at this thing? Would you mind letting me know what, your thoughts and poking some holes? I wouldn't worry about that because they're going to look at the information um, by itself,
Right.
right? And then they may be like, "What do you mean poke holes in it? This is awesome," And then you just have a conversation. So
Yeah,
yeah,
or they find out that there's no holes to poke in it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah." All right, thank you, buddy.
yeah, man, I appreciate it. Jeff West, what's up, brother?
Hey, yeah, I just, to your point, Scott, one of the things that I did, I don't know if this helps or not, but I reached out to an agent that I knew would be a good fit that I wanted to align with. And I just said, hey, I know, that I've been with eXp for 3 years. I talk a lot of great things about it. I have this great other opportunity that just came up. And I'm just curious if you could just take a look and make sure I'm not doing something crazy here. Cause it seems like it would be a really good opportunity, but and anyway, so she looked at it and just to Dustin's point, almost looked at it to like defend me, like take care of me almost. And she was like, yeah, I mean, it seems like a really great opportunity for you. So I think that's kind of more of the mindset to go at it with, if that makes sense.
Well said. And guys, there's no magical script that's just magically going to get everyone to join you. Let go of hoping that there is. But what you can count on is you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And the opposite is also true. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. If they're shut down, they're not interested, that their feet are firmly planted, they're not interested in looking at anything, they have zero curiosity, there's not a damn thing you can say that's going to win them over. You could plant seeds with them so that maybe 2 years down the road, they're like, wait, what was that thing again? I've seen that happen a bunch of times. Good questions. What other question? There's a lot of comments here in the chat, so I want to make sure that we get to your questions. So take the initiative, raise your hand if you have a question, and let's get it. Let's see. What's up, Seth? Rad is here. What an awesome name, Rad. Rad and Michael, these two ballers in New Jersey just joined my group. I'm excited about them. No one has follow-up questions? All of that. Was that the best presentation ever where I just proactively answered any question possible? I like to think so, but I seriously doubt it. I seriously doubt it. Cool. Well, guys, if I can be helpful, shoot me a message on Instagram. Happy to help. I will have the replay for you. And you guys who are in the Massive Agent Society, there's a whole agent attraction module, I guess. We're relaunching the Massive Agent Society, my coaching group, end of September. And it's going to be a 12-week business accelerator, a 12-week business builder course. You're going to walk you through from solo agent to business owner and what that looks like. Starting teams may be it, agent attraction may be part of your journey, maybe both. And so this will be part of the new Massive Agent Society, and we're going to add a lot more to it as well. So if this interests you, keep your eyes open and your ears open for when we launch the Massive Agent Society in a few weeks. Appreciate you all being here today. I'm going to wrap this up. I'll send you the replay link later this afternoon when it's ready. I appreciate you all being here. Please, I have one thing to ask of you all. Please take action. Whatever you are inspired to do today, whatever ideas you had, whatever you told yourself, oh, I'm going to do this. Please do those things. No more excuses. Make sure you're at a great company. If you are, stop keeping it from people. Agents need your great company. Appreciate you all. See you soon.